for that.
No, only if there is a papal dispensation signed by the Pope himself saying this is actually holy water. They're going to do that. No, actually, even then. All right, so let's start.
All right, so we're going to start. So
we wrote this book.
John, where did Will Grayson come from?
Your head.
My God, why did it come to my head?
Are we just going to reverse roles? I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to tell David's part of the story, but come on. David's best friend in college was a guy named David Levithan, and David's name is David Levithan, and so they were often confused for one another, which is particularly difficult and painful for David Levithan because David Levithan is one of the greatest modern dancers alive today in the world. And so frequently, someone would walk up to David Levithan while he was in college or in the years after college and say, "You look so oafish and so awkward and so unable to move. And yet last night on stage you were flying."
And I would say,
that wasn't me, that was David Levithan. It was not me. This haunted David for years, and he became fascinated by the relationship between people who have the same or similar names. And then one day he called me with a book idea. And the reason that he knew me was because
David had read, I had read an advanced reader's copy of this book you may have heard of called Looking for Alaska. That was pretty much my reaction too. So I emailed John and just said, "I loved your book. I know it hasn't come out yet." And John was familiar with my first book, which had come out the year before.
Yeah, I really liked this book, Boy Meets Boy, and he liked Looking for Alaska. I was really...
So
it was like the first piece of fan mail I ever received, actually. Yeah, and I was just so thrilled by the idea that anyone outside of, like that's amateurish, guys. Come on. Turn off your cell phone. Seriously.
Kids today, man. Kids today.
God, who does that?
That's not even Hank.
Yeah, it's Julie. Yeah, it was the first piece of fan mail I ever received, and I was totally overwhelmed by the thought that anyone other than like my Uncle Bill had read my book, and he was very, very kind, and not only kind, but obviously had read the book very thoughtfully and really well, and I was just really excited because I was such a fan. And then we started talking every Friday afternoon. We would have a brief conversation. I was working at the time at Booklist magazine, and David was and still is an editor at Scholastic, and then one day,
so I had this idea of doing this novel about people with similar names, and I'd actually originally thought, I'll ask 4 different authors to write 4 different characters, all with the same name.
But then I was like, then we would have to split the paycheck 4 ways. There's a more efficient path.
It was a very, very convincing logic. And I did like the idea. I had written this book called Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist with my friend. And so I love collaborating. We can talk about this in the Q&A if you want. And so I just love the idea of doing a collaboration with John. But also, we want it to be different. Nick and Nora is a zigzag shape. You okay there?
Sorry, yeah, keep going.
We're such rocks.
Yeah. I don't know where to put my bottled water. Just like a rock star. Pete Townsend doesn't know where to put his bottled water.
I'm waiting for you to do the Carano and just like drink the whole bottle and spit it back out.
I want it. So I'm not gonna do it.
Exactly. John Green, not Carano. True. Just wanted to spell that myth. Lady Gaga, perhaps, but not. You never see her without all the makeup. Maybe she looks like that. So anyway, this is a long story long. So the book is about these 2 guys named Will Grayson. They live in different suburbs of Chicago, and their lives basically intersect halfway through. So the book is really shaped kind of like an X, which neither one of us have done. Thank you.
Well, they may not know.
It's very important. Thank God it wasn't shaped like an S.
Well, I can do it all that way.
I just totally thought we were watching the Walk Like an Egyptian video. So that really.
Dated cultural reference.
It took totally. They laughed anyway. That's what matters. It took us 5 years from the first conversation to finish the book and have it published. So basically, as you may have noticed, if we talked right after Looking for Alaska and Boy Meets Boy, both of us have written numerous other novels in the interim, but that was kind of cool. We would go off and do our own thing, and then we'd work on Will Grayson for a little bit, go off and do our own thing, come back to Will Grayson. And then the real work of the book actually happened more when it was time to revise it, and we sort of took these two strands that we've been working on, and the way that we worked it is we would read our chapters aloud to each other. So he'd write chapter 1, I'd write chapter 2. We'd get together, we'd read them aloud to each other. A lot of times Sarah, his wife, was there, and then we would move on. And that was really fun, but then we'd never really commented, we just pushed on. And so the revision process took another year where we really went sort of line by line.
Was it only a year?
It was only a year.
Long year.
We had a lot going on.
Yeah.
And so that was really fun to just sort of make everything in sync and make it be this unified novel, which we're kind of proud of, which is neat.
And for us, that was really the time when the book became a book. I mean, when it became something that we were pleased enough with to send it out into the world and hope that you guys like it, which we really sincerely do.
Whoa.
Sorry. I'm not good at being a rock star yet. I will work on it. It's only in Austin, so I guess we'll have to come back and do this again because it's the only way you can get the feeling.
You guys are being ridiculous. We're going to have to call book people. Next month, can we come? How about next month? We need that sort of ego gratification. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to read two selections from Will Grayson, one from John's chapters and one from my chapter. We're going to start with John's, and we have a special guest star, Jennifer Ziegler, the author of How Not to Be Popular, a novel which sounds like it is totally with, we have some sounds here. Not popular, nerd fighter, it sort of goes hand in hand. So Jennifer is going to be our Jane.